She shook her head, full of sympathy. Listen, Audrey, if you can't get him to listen, you let me know. I'll have a word with him for you. A man who really loves you would never ever want to see you get hurt. 3. My eyelashes fluttered. I opened my mouth, intending to say, okay, but no sound came out. By the time I came back to myself, Ethan had his arm around Amelia's shoulders, leading her down the opposite end of the hall. She waved back at me over her shoulder. Bye, Audrey. It was nice meeting you. I stood there for another minute before turning and heading toward the underground parking garage. The light inside the car was dim. My hands rested on the smooth leather of the Porsche's steering wheel, but I didn't start the engine. Maybe I wasn't as calm as I was pretending to be. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely devoid of feelings for Ethan. After all, he was the one who had saved me during the darkest, most desperate year of my life. My family wasn't poor, far from it. My parents were both well-respected high school teachers. They provided for all my material needs, giving me everything a child could want. But it came with a price. Their desire for control was a suffocating, toxic cloud that poisoned our home. The year I turned 18, they found out I'd been accepted to my dream school, NYU. To stop me from moving to the city, they went into my application portal and changed my commitment to the local state university. When I graduated 4 years later, I fought tooth and nail to land a prestigious job offer in New York. They went behind my back and declined it for me. They kept telling me it was for my own good. They spent a small fortune to get me a stable, low-paying government job in my hometown. I never showed up for the first day. It was the first time I had ever rebelled. With the $10,000 I had saved up, I bought a one-way train ticket to New York. I went straight to the NYU campus and just walked around. It was on my way out that I met him. Ethan Hayes. I suppose it was because I was pretty. I caught his eye easily. He offered to help me find a job. He introduced me to a life I never could have imagined. Ethan taught me how to skydive, how to rock climb, how to scuba dive. He pushed me to try every extreme sport my parents had ever forbidden. We kissed and held hands and stayed up all night talking. We did things that felt thrilling and new. For the first time in my life, I felt a sense of unrestrained, intoxicating freedom. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I was falling for him. I liked Ethan Hayes. But that secret, hidden love blooming in the corners of my heart became its own form of torture. It takes a long time to decide to stop loving someone. It takes even longer to actually leave. It took me 6 months. I have to admit, I've always been indecisive. It's a flaw in my character. Otherwise, I never would have let my parents control me for 22 years. And besides that, Ethan was impossibly handsome and unbelievably rich. The crumbs he dropped from his table had already made me a wealthy woman, with enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my life. Thinking about that, a sense of calm washed over me. So I had lost a great love, but I had gained a cold, hard $30 million. Ethan came home late that night. It was the weekend, so I'd given myself a break, curled up on the sofa watching some terrible reality TV show. One of the characters on screen dramatically declared, "Your boyfriend has a girlfriend." I looked up just as Ethan walked in. On a whim, I asked, "So, how's your little girlfriend?" He rubbed his temples, looking exhausted. His voice was heavy. "Audrey, you're starting to misbehave." I knew when to shut up. Ethan hated complications. The only reason he'd kept me around for so long was because I was easy. I was obedient. I bit my lip. "I drew a bath for you," I said quietly. He disappeared into the master bathroom. My interest in the show had vanished. I went to the bedroom to sleep. I was drifting in that space between sleep and waking when a hot, heavy hand clamped onto my waist. The man behind me began to explore my body, his touch familiar and demanding. For I shifted, trying to push him away. But Ethan was patient, his voice a low murmur against my ear. "Shoo, it's okay. I'll wear a condom." He whispered, "You don't have to take those pills anymore." For a second, I was wide awake. Was this his conscience finally kicking in? But I wasn't the one taking the pills. And him wearing a condom would only ruin the experience for me. I was just about to launch into a self-sacrificing speech, something designed to tug at his heartstrings and maybe squeeze a larger severance package out of him when we finally broke up. But then his phone rang. It was on the nightstand, so close in the silent room that I could hear every word. Amelia's voice, a mixture of excitement and fear. "Baby, I just took a test. I think it's positive." A pause. "But I'm not sure. Can you come over?" Ethan's eyes reflexively darted toward me in the dark. He looked away just as quickly, his voice softening. "I'm on my way." He hung up, and without another look at me, he was gone, leaving a curt, "I won't be back tonight." He didn't even bother to close the bedroom door. I muttered a few curses under my breath, rolled over, and tried to go back to sleep. But sleep wouldn't come. No one knew that a long time ago, I had also been pregnant with Ethan's child. I was working on a huge project at the time, pulling all-nighters. In the chaos, I forgot to take my pill one night. I didn't realize until my body started feeling different. In that single moment, my world tilted. I was thrilled and terrified. After days of agonizing, I decided to tell him. We would decide what to do with the baby together. I went to find him in his home office. The door was slightly ajar. He was on the phone, his voice laced with its usual casual indifference. "Your little bird is pregnant. Just give her some money and tell her to get rid of it. Why are you even asking me about this?" He listened for a moment. "Are you an idiot, Mark? What does does it matter if you feel bad for her? Is your family going to accept an illegitimate child? Get real. There was a longer pause. I couldn't hear the question, but I knew what it was from Ethan's answer. The question must have been, what if it was Audrey? What if Audrey got pregnant? Would you keep the baby? Would he? Ethan's voice was flat, devoid of emotion. Cruel. No. Audrey is good. I'm very happy with her. But my child will not come from her belly. If she ever got pregnant, I'd give her a generous sum of money, she'd have an abortion, and that would be the end of it. Love and marriage. He had always kept the two completely separate. I was beautiful, obedient, and I anticipated his every need. The perfect girlfriend. But a wife? The partner he would spend his life with? Never. I stood outside that door and cried without making a sound. And for the first time, I understood with chilling clarity. Ethan Hayes did not love me. After I'd composed myself, I called my office and told them there was a family emergency. I took a week off. I went to the clinic alone. Every part of my body ached, but I knew it was the right choice. For me, and for the life that was inside me. But Amelia was different. She had the effortless innocence of someone who had been sheltered and adored her whole life. And the baby in her belly, it was clear Ethan was already fiercely protective of it. For a fleeting moment, a wave of confusion washed over me. What had my 3 years meant? Drifting in and out of consciousness, I finally fell asleep. I woke up the next morning at 10. Ethan hadn't come home. I picked up my phone, about to send him a fake, concerned text message. But a new friend request had popped up on my screen. The profile picture was an adorable kitten. The message was just 3 words, Amelia Sinclair. 5. She got straight to the point. Audrey, I've had you investigated. I took a slow sip of my coffee. My eyes fixed on the little typing bubble at the top of the screen. I didn't reply. A few seconds later, more messages came through. I know you've been with Ethan for a while. You're clever and you have your methods, I get that, comma, but what you probably don't know is that he and I are getting engaged soon. We come from the same world. If you're smart, you'll disappear quietly. Don't make this ugly for yourself, comma, because if you do, I won't be so nice. It clicked. Amelia Sinclair. Of course, she was an heiress. No wonder Ethan was so attentive. It wasn't just about affection, it was about her family, her connections, her status. I put down my mug and typed a reply. 10 million, she agreed without hesitation. She asked for my account number and promised the money would be wired within 3 days. The only condition was that I was to never ever be seen by Ethan Hayes again. I gladly accepted. After all, I was already planning my exit. When Ethan finally came back, he had a gift for me. I opened the box. Inside was a scandalous red silk nightgown that was more air than fabric and a matching ruby necklace. He seemed to be in a good mood. Go try it on, he urged. I want to see if it fits. The vibrant red made my skin look like porcelain. It barely covered the essentials, leaving most of my body exposed to the cool air. I saw a flash of hunger in Ethan's eyes, his breath catching for a split second. I took a steadying breath, my expression serious. Ethan, I said softly, we need to talk. He seemed to regain a sliver of his composure. He nodded, a thoughtful look on his face. I have something to tell you too, he said. I nodded obediently. Okay, you first. After a few seconds of silence, he spoke, choosing his words carefully. Audrey, if I were to get married, what would you do? I might have imagined it, but he looked almost nervous. I froze. What would I do?